Hello, Libra friends. This is Dr. Shiny. I have a tarot reading for the month of March for you. And if you haven't already done so, please check out my introductory videos. I go into a little bit about how I do tarot readings and how I approach the subject in general and what you can expect to get out of it, that kind of thing. But, excuse me. So I'm going to get right into your reading today. What your current situation is today is the Two of Wands. And this is sort of a planning phase, right? So this is, you've got the opportunity, the spark and everything. That's already out of the way. That comes from the ace. But in the two, it's more of now about planning and um, figuring out a path forward to the future to get to sort of where your dreams are, that kind of thing. So this is really more about balancing your will, your internal, with the external need and that sort of thing. Um, uh, Very mobile and able energy associated with that, but it's all about planning right now. It's not necessarily about the implementation and the action quite just yet. You know, it will be soon though. What's influencing you or what's crossing you is the King of Coins. Um, Traditionally, this is a person who's got a lot of material wealth, but in my readings especially, I find that it really more indicates somebody who is uh, wealthy in a sort of non-materialistic sense, right? So there's a difference between having a lot of money and being wealthy, right? Wealth is a cultivated attitude that even the poorest people in the world can have. So this is a person who understands material possessions exactly for what they are. They're not led by like these flights of fancy or wanting really nice cars or things like that. They have very realistic needs and wants and goals and things like that, and they appreciate wealth and money for exactly what it is. They are very, very capable at giving advice. They're very wise, that type of thing. And so this is what's influencing you in the current situation: is somebody's wisdom is sort of rubbing off on you, is infecting your mind a little bit. And it's probably somebody who you look at with a degree of affection. This is not a miserly person. And the King of Coins, you'd think it would be like the king of the material world. But it's, again, somebody who sees through the illusion of material and has a command over it rather than it commanding the person. It's not necessarily a man either. It's just somebody in your life who is who's not fooled by all this, who never seems to be phased, who can always be looked at to have a stable mentality and advice for the situation. Your recent past, what got you here? You have the Three of Cups. Not a whole lot of information here. This is just saying that um, in the past you've had some really good, helpful, emotionally fulfilling friendships that will last a long time, and perhaps the way that you've approached a situation recently has ensured that this King of Coins is going to be your friend for a long time. It's not like a fickle or one-sided type thing. There's some real affection and real feelings of friendship here. Um, so, going forward into the future, I have the Star for you. Now, the Star is about sort of being led by divinity. Uh, it's not just following your intuition. There's something right above following your intuition. And it's something that happens when you get really, really in tune. Everywhere around you, you are in communication with your subconscious mind. And it's this realization that the external world around you is actually just in some way a reflection of what's inside your head, what's inside your mind. And so by communicating with the external world on a more personal level, and you either know what that means or you don't, by communicating with the world around you on a more personal level, on a more conversational basis, um, as one whole rather than discrete separate entities, you start seeing the bigger picture. You start seeing the bigger plan, the sort of divine plan, so to speak. And so this is in your near future. So this is what the King of Coins is sort of pushing you toward. This is what he wants you to see. He wants you to see that his success and his understanding of the material world comes from an understanding of divine nature, of things almost like fate, being more real than people realize, because most people are sort of asleep. Most people are not very aware. So they don't have good ways of explaining or understanding the divine. And so if you're a person who is somewhat awake or aware, uh, those concepts may seem just a little fishy to you altogether, because nobody else around you really gets it the way that you do. So if you can sort of learn to let go of these images and legalistic systems that people have imposed on you in the past, even friends and people who were very good to you, if you can pour those out, pour out the sun and the moon, then all of a sudden the stars start to speak to you. And then that's some really interesting communication that you have coming. Your foundation for this current situation is strength, the strength card. So this is your learning strength, and it seems that you're learning strength both externally and internally, and that's where this star, in your future comes from. The sun represents sort of like the conscious known mind, and the moon represents more of like the subconscious or internal world. And you can see this character is just pouring them both out. And so it's about sort of like emptying your mind and letting yourself be a conduit, an open vessel for divine purpose, right? And finding like real purpose. And doing that is going to require to cultivate both inner and outer fortitude strength, because a lot of times the communication that you receive can be so specific, it can cut so deeply to your core, it can affect you on an emotional level more than what you're accustomed to, and it can kind of drive you crazy if you're not prepared for that. It can hurt, it can unhinge you, so you have to develop this mental fortitude and this understanding that this process is for your benefit, and that you're being used. It's a great honor that you're being used essentially by the universe or the higher power for great things. You're moving into that. So keep that in mind, that you're being groomed here. The strength card represents sort of external, or I'm sorry, internal strength. This is about a lot of times about putting up barriers to it can be like suppressing hurtful opinions from others and things like that, which is a great temporary coping strategy, but eventually you have to start opening up to them and feeling those things to be able to understand like what the communication actually means. Because usually when somebody like lashes out or tries to hurt you, it's really them just trying to say like, notice me, I'm hurting. If that makes any sense. People are not really evil, right? They don't want to go around hurting people. They hurt people because they've been hurt, because there's this pattern that they're caught in, this cycle that they're caught in, or perhaps if they're a bully, it's because they have some self-esteem issues and they need to feel like they are better than everybody else. And they do that by sort of testing everybody else's resolve and seeing if they can make you break, and that kind of thing. So you're the situation here is learning that inner strength is it's testing you to be a stronger person. Your crowning thoughts, your conscious mind, is on the Emperor, which is a very like archetype or archetypical, I don't know what the word is, but somebody who is a really good example of the masculine energy. This is somebody who's not overly masculine, right? This is not somebody who's like a man's man necessarily. This is somebody who understands the proper application of masculinity, or the proper the proper utilization of the masculine, and a lot of times that is very, very closely involved with women as well. And I always think this figure in this particular card looks a little bit feminine, and I really like that, because I don't like for this card's energy to be over masculine. I don't like it to be looked at as something that only the male achieves. This is something that is like achievable and necessary for both the male and female. You know, this is a understanding of how willpower works. So this is like, instead of being completely blown away or blown around by the wind, it's about every now and then opening up a sail and catching the wind. You know what I mean? And it's something that has to be learned in balance. And one sex or the other is normally born with a profinity for one way or the other, and then love or romantic relationships have a way of teaching us the other half of those things. So it's kind of a beautiful a mechanism that's built in. There's variations to this process, but this is why, you know, classic love stories are like classic love stories, because they always seem to have something that the main characters, it's like a hole, you know, that's like in the shape of somebody else. And that's what you're sort of learning, is this masculine willpower. And it's because this king of coins, I think the king of coins and this emperor energy are sort of the same individual. It's just that this is emphasizing a different reason why this is on your mind, a different sort of angle of looking at the situation. Now, your advice for the current situation is the Chariot. So whereas the Strength card in the foundation of the situation was your internal uh, strength being developed, this is saying to develop your external strength. There's this energy associated with it about like kind of being more assertive, asserting your will, you know, capturing these horses and forcing them to go in one specific direction. It's kind of a forceful action. It's more of a masculine type of energy, but it's you trying to wrestle that will, that passion, which is normally just sort of radiating evenly in all directions, and sort of channeling it in a specific direction, which is something that you have to learn to do, you know. Now, there is a little bit of chaos, calamity, challenge associated with this card, so don't let that discourage you. Just keep in mind that that's fun. That's the fun of it. So you're, you know, probably an individual who's got a more balanced and laid back approach to life, but we've got to shake things up. You know, somebody's got to start throwing things, or we all get bored to death. So it's good. It's good for you to get poked a little bit and have that fire rekindled in you. For your current environment, you have the High Priestess. And the High Priestess is this divine feminine. So it's interesting that you have sort of a representation of ideal masculine, and then one of feminine in your current environment as well. So this being in your environment doesn't, it suggests it's not necessarily talking about you. It's possibly suggesting that this figure, the King of Coins, the Emperor, also has an understanding of intuition, and it sounds like he does, because he's trying to get you to see his vision of the world, see it the way he sees it, and there's something that he needs you to see in the way he sees the world, you know. And he obviously follows his intuition very well. The material success, or whatever material success there may be, in this case, is somewhat of an illusion. It doesn't mean that this guy is hung up on the material. It means that he's sort of found a back door. He's found the ability to use the laws of attraction, of sort of like power of manifestation, and he wants to gift you with this ability. He wants to see, he sees in you beautiful visions and abilities and potential, and he wants to see you unlock that potential. Now, what's in your fears card is the Ace of Cups. Very interesting to be in the fears. This is usually represented represented as an opportunity, something you have a choice in, something you can either reach out and grab or reject. But it's an opportunity that can lead to complete emotional fulfillment, overflowing with emotional fulfillment, really, really deep emotion and passion, fully existing on the physical plane. So this is like the opposite of apathy, right? Of being just sort of numb, zombified, right? This is going to get you really vital and energetic and uh, in the world, in feeling and that kind of thing. And it will give you the mobility to sort of begin a new journey into channeling your will into creative ventures and things like that. So it's really just going to depend on whether you're afraid of being happy because of whatever's happened in your past, or you're afraid of trusting, maybe, or that kind of thing. But if you can learn to do that, you have a tremendous opportunity to be emotionally satisfied. Sorry. Your overall situation today is the Hermit. And really what this means, it's not saying to necessarily go take time to be by yourself, although it's always a good idea to meditate and that kind of thing. But what this is saying is that the situation that you're in is a form of internal development. So remember that like as above, so below, right? So your external world around you is in some ways a reflection of what's going on internally. So if you meet a really interesting fellow who just is um, constantly stimulating and inspiring your mind, uh, there's something happening beneath the surface where you're sort of going through a new phase in your life and your mentality is aligning. You're starting to maybe challenge the status quo that you accepted for so long, that everybody else around you upheld, and you are now looking for your own vision of the future, looking for your own way to move forward, that kind of thing. So it's just saying that really what's happening right now is just some tinkering under the hood. You're getting some issues worked out, and your life is about to improve in a big way, a really big way. This is going to be something that not everybody even gets to experience. So consider yourself lucky to experience this type of intuitive hand holding. But anyway, I'm very excited for you. Please let me know. There's a kitty foot right there. Um, Please let me know how this reading went for you, what you got from it. I always love the comments. It's my favorite part about reading, so don't be shy. And until next time, I will see you. And I hope everybody's doing well. Bye-bye.